She was never the kind of woman who believed in easy love. She had grown up watching the world bend under the weight of war and hardship, yet she always dreamed of something pure, something unbreakable. A love that could stand the test of time even if it asked her to stand alone. She met him on a chilly autumn evening. When the leaves painted the sidewalks gold and red, he was quiet and strong, carrying invisible wounds that the world could never see. She noticed the way his hands trembled when he thought no one was looking, and how his eyes searched for something familiar in every stranger. They spoke in fragments at first, small talks about the weather, the books they loved, the music that made them smile, but slowly the fragments turned into conversations that lasted for hours. She learned about the nights he could not sleep, the nightmares that haunted him, the battles that never truly ended. And yet she also saw the moments of laughter that shone through the pain, and the small victories that reminded her that he was alive and that love could heal even the deepest scars. She did not flinch when she learned about his service, the medals, the injuries, the long months away from home, and the emptiness that sometimes filled his voice. She held his hand and promised that she would walk beside him, that she would not turn away when life demanded more than she thought she could give. And in the beginning it was not easy. She spent nights awake wondering if she was enough, if her love could ever reach him through the walls he had built, and yet she stayed. She learned to read the silences. She learned that some tears were not meant to be explained, only held. She decorated their apartment with warm lights and soft blankets, and she cooked meals that reminded him of home. And slowly, he began to trust again. He began to believe that maybe there was a life beyond the shadows he had carried for so long. Friends and family questioned her devotion. They whispered about how difficult it would be, about how she might lose herself in the process, but she smiled at them with quiet confidence. She knew that love was not always comfortable, that it demanded courage and patience, and that bravery came in many forms. Sometimes bravery was standing in the rain and listening when words failed. Sometimes it was holding a hand and saying nothing but being there nonetheless. And she became the bravest person she had ever known, not because she conquered the world, but because she refused to abandon someone who had already fought too much. She watched him slowly reclaim parts of himself, the hobbies he had given up, the friends he had drifted from, the laughter that once came so easily. She celebrated every small triumph with him and never let him forget that he was loved beyond measure. There were days of doubt, days when the memories of war clawed back into his mind and the shadows seemed impossible to escape. She did not offer solutions. She did not try to fix him. She simply held space for him and reminded him through gentle words and tender gestures that he was not alone. She became his anchor, and in return he became hers. They discovered love was not only passion or romance, it was perseverance. It was choosing each other every day, even when the world made it difficult. They traveled together, slowly exploring the world around them, the beaches where the waves whispered secrets, the mountains where the wind carried promises. They took photographs of moments ordinary and extraordinary, and every picture told the story of a bond forged in resilience and devotion. Time passed and life threw unexpected challenges at them, but they faced them side by side. They navigated the complexities of family tensions, career pressures, and health struggles, and each challenge strengthened the threads of their connection. They laughed in the face of fear, cried when the heartache was too much, and never lost sight of the promise they had made to each other. She remembered the day he asked her to marry him, not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet whisper in the kitchen as they cooked dinner together. And she said yes, not out of obligation, but because she knew that love was a choice. She would choose him over and over again without hesitation. Their wedding was small and intimate, filled with friends and family who had witnessed their journey. The vows were heartfelt, not scripted. They spoke of battles faced together, of nights spent comforting one another, of the unwavering belief that love could heal and transform. The music played softly in the background, the sunlight streamed through the windows, and she looked into his eyes and saw every struggle, every tear, every laugh they had shared reflected there. And she knew that their love was extraordinary, not because it was perfect, but because it endured. They danced slowly, their movements imperfect but full of meaning. And in that moment they were not just a bride and groom, they were two souls who had chosen bravery and love above all else. Years went by, and their story continued to unfold. They faced new challenges, new fears, and new joys, but always with the same courage that had brought them together. She watched him grow in ways she never thought possible, and he watched her with admiration for the strength she showed every day. They built a home filled with memories of resilience and tenderness, a sanctuary where love was not conditional or fleeting but steadfast and unwavering. They shared mornings with laughter and evenings with quiet conversation, and in those moments they understood the true depth of commitment. The sacrifices they had made for each other were never burdens, they were expressions of devotion. Proof that love was not a feeling alone but an action, a daily choice to stay Even when it was difficult asterisk, she often reflected on the journey that had brought them together. The unexpected twists, the fears she had overcome, the doubts that had tried to creep in, and she realized that bravery was not always about grand heroic acts. Sometimes it was about the quiet persistence of standing by someone in their darkest hours. Sometimes it was about believing in love even when the world seemed determined to break it. She became an example of courage, not in the eyes of strangers but in the life she had built, in the love she nurtured, and in the legacy she would leave behind. Their story was not just about romance, it was about resilience, it was about the power of unwavering commitment and the beauty of choosing someone every day for all the right reasons asterisk. And so their life unfolded, a tapestry of moments both ordinary and profound. They faced the seasons together, the laughter, the tears, the victories and defeats, and through it all they remained each other's home. Each morning brought new opportunities to love more deeply, to understand more fully, to appreciate the strength that had carried them to this point. They held hands walking through the streets of the city, they explored hidden corners of the country, they shared dreams late at night. And through every experience they reminded each other of the simple truth that had brought them together, that love was not easy, but it was worth every moment, worth every struggle and every sacrifice. They became not just a couple in love, but a testament to the enduring power of faith, hope, and courage. Asterisk. And when they looked back on their journey, they saw not only the challenges but the triumphs, not only the pain but the beauty that had emerged from it all. They remembered the nights that seemed endless, the days when giving up felt easier, but also the mornings when a smile, a touch, a simple word reminded them why they had stayed. They had discovered a love that transcended the ordinary, that demanded bravery and rewarded it with a depth that few ever experienced. Their story was a beacon, a quiet reminder that true love is not always found in fairy tales but in the choices made in the face of adversity, in the determination to never walk away, and the courage to hold on when it would be easier to let go. And in that love they found not just each other but themselves.